Okay, so holidays, I thought this was a pretty tough topic. So I went through my mind and I thought, well, at my house, my father was a CPA and my mother was a principal stenographer. So they were very organized people. So there was always a routine to everything. This did not skip the holidays, okay? Christmas, my father would go out and get the tree and bring it in. He would put on the lights. I'd just hold them and walk around the tree as he attached them in the proper places. And then when that was done, my mother and my sisters and I, we were allowed to put on the ornaments and things. Presents were always very well organized under the tree, and they were given out one at a time. You would get one, then my sister, and then my brother, and this is how things went. Thanksgiving, same sort of thing. My mother would get up early in the morning. I would help her. We'd make the stuffing. She would do the turkey. Later on, at some point, my sisters would do the potatoes and all the little side stuff, and we get everything together. And every single year, I don't know how it goes in your house, but the dinner rolls never made it to the table. Those dinner rolls are still in the oven at my parents' house. They've never come out. It's the same one. We just reheat them every year. You know, my mom, when she would make the turkey started, it started days before Thanksgiving. She would lay the bread out, so she would break it up to make her own stuffing. She would have weeks before that, she would be taking leaves off the celery that she would buy, putting it in a little pie tin that came out every year right before Thanksgiving, and she put them in there so they would dry out so it would be natural things. Always this routine. Well, this went along till about 1986. My mom had a stroke and a heart attack. And it left her after some rehabilitation. She was unable to do these things. She was in a wheelchair, partially paralyzed, but she could still run things. So for a couple of years, my father, as he had to take over things, his routines were a little different. So in a couple of years, we tried to do it with my mom directing and my dad doing the cooking and things. But within 2 years, it became very apparent that that was not going to work because my father was just not that good in the kitchen, and my mother could not stand things not being done the way she had them all laid out. So after the first couple of years, my father took over. Now, my father was a little bit different guy than my mother, being a CPA, very practical guy. He knew that Thanksgiving, the dinner is nice and the warm things and you're sitting around the table, but what we really have Thanksgiving for is the leftovers, the sandwiches for the rest of the week. So my dad's idea of Thanksgiving was a buffet of food platters from Price Chopper. Let's not fool around. We don't need to do all that cooking stuff. We'll watch the parade, make a couple little football games, and then we'll all go out to the dining room and eat as we like. So we'd have, they were all sort of, in my mother's tradition, they were in order. You'd have your meat platter here at the front, adorned with a bunch of different types of sandwich, rolls, bread, three different kinds of bread, and then you'd have your vegetable platter in the middle, a little bit smaller, a couple of kinds of dip maybe if we were lucky, and then you'd have your dessert platter, maybe some fruit, maybe a cheesecake or something. No dinner rolls. He didn't do potatoes because that was a lot of boiling and peeling and all this stuff, so they became instant potatoes, spuds, which I gotta say, we really liked them. Every other day of the year, we would do this, so it wasn't so bad. Stovetop stuffing became the replacement that was really the killer. My mother's stuffing, which I still make to this day, is the greatest stuffing ever. I know you all think yours is. It's not. I know. I hate to let you down, when you're having such a good time, but yours is not. This is the stuff. So, there was a routine to everything. Well, when my mother got sick like this, there's a routine to that. If any of you care for someone who's in that situation, has a heart condition or any type of ailment, you get in a very strict routine. There's medicines at certain amount of times each day, and they have to be done. And, she has to be, you get up at a certain time every day and things. Well, with her heart condition, she was on like 42 different medications. And these medications, they tend to build up in your system. They work for a little while, and then they would build up, and it would cause another heart attack. And then she would go, and they'd regulate the meds again, and then she'd be fine again. but there was a routine. When we would hear, my brother and I lived across the driveway, and when we'd hear the ambulances, we'd get up and we'd go next door, or my father would call and say my mom had to go to the hospital, and you go over and everybody had their job, their routine. You know, you need to get the list of meds to go to the doctor so they'd know what she was on. Someone would go down to the front of the house and watch out for the ambulance so they didn't go to the neighbor's house and scare the shit out of them. And, you know, so it was a routine just like everything else in our house. Well, until Valentine's Day, 1994. Starts out like any other day. My brother and I get up. We hear the sirens coming, no phone call. We said, okay, we got to go over and do our thing. You know, we're walking across the driveway. We said, I'm going to get the list. You know, you run down to the front. We'll make sure everything, you know, goes on. And we get up the back stairs of my parents' house, and we get the back door and throw the back door open, and there's my mother sitting in her wheelchair. And it just, I don't remember much after that, but I remember her saying, "It's your father." And the way she said it, you could tell it wasn't that he was sick or that he had, you know, just fallen. He had passed. And I knew right then that my holidays and my life and my routine would never be the same. Thank you.